Amajoni, Amajoni, ase Africa. Amajoni, oh sabo ufuna Amajoni, Amajoni, ase Africa. Amajoni, oh sabo ufuna Amajoni.
Mandela was not a revolutionary. Mandela and his generation were not revolutionaries in the way we understand that concept.
Because what may be regarded as having been revolutionary in the 1940s, we may not have regarded as revolutionary in the 1990s or 1980s.
When Africans were conquered in the 19th century, in the great frontier wars, and you had then a group of educated Africans who were educated in the mission schools. The ANC as an organization was formed by these individuals. And until the 1960s, actually, or the 1950s, the ANC wanted to be part of this European structure. These individuals did not see themselves until very late, until the 60s and the 70s. Do you begin to have this revolutionary fervor? But many of them came out of this conservative tradition in black politics. And we need to acknowledge this.
But what I'm suggesting is that there were moments in the 1940s, in the 1960s, and at other moments when, in fact, I would argue that one can append the label of revolutionary on Mandela.
I think I term the 80s and 90s revolutionary from my perspective, in that how do you go into a room of people that are effectively your enemy, that as you're talking to them, they are funding people to kill you? How do you not look at that as revolutionary when Mandela is saying, I'm not going to talk to you because you're not talking in good faith, and leaving the room? When he says that I can't go back to the people and take back negotiation when you are killing them.
And for me, I always think about Miles Davis when I think about Mandela. It's like somebody who's constantly at the cutting edge of music in the case of Miles. But Mandela is forever changing his positions. He's forever exploring things, even against the conservatives in the ANC.
We mustn't have this sort of linear idea of Mandela coming from a particular kind of set of circumstances and evolving in a linear trajectory. The kind of moments when one can see him moving in particular directions as other people did.
So in the 60-year period that Mr. Mandela is talking about, there are different tactics that he uses, from non-violence to military resistance to negotiating. And negotiating was just an aspect of a strategy.
As late as 1960, even as Mandela is forming MK, and he says this in his autobiography, that the armed struggle was not to overthrow the government. It was a tactic to bring the government to the negotiating table.
Yeah. You have to understand that for him, non-violence was a tactic. Unlike Martin Luther King, it wasn't rooted in religion. It was whatever it will take for my people to win. That's what I'm willing to do. De Klerk said, I'm not going to talk to a party that has a private army. He said, I'm not going to give you arms, de Klerk, because you are killing our people. Behind the smile that people really want to focus on was a man of steel.
I think of this term revolutionary. For me, I'm ambiguous about this term. Because the ones that, is the revolution the one with the loudest voice carrying a megaphone? Is it the one that is the most militant?
But finally, I describe Mandela as a pragmatist. He had this ability. At certain points, I use concepts like radical. I use concepts like militant, all right? Which are not the same as revolutionary.
Yes.
All right? But he could have that militancy, but at the same time that he was militant, he was also advocating, participating in the homeland system.
I am a pragmatist. I am, in this very building, sat down with Agri-SA, the organization of white farmers mainly, industrialized white farmers. Because what is the sense of not sitting down with them? And the debate that we had was not about who committed the original sin, who stole whose land. Is what is the right thing we have to do today as South Africans? And we have to learn to share. Share the land, share the wealth, share the resources so that what we promised our children, the future generations, that you will have a better life, can be realized.
Amajoni, ase Africa.